Okay, so a couple minutes late, but we're ready to roll now. We got two great speakers today. First, we're going to hear from Kent Sandra. Owns, as you guys know a little bit from my intro, a large family farm out in Arvin. And then we will hear from Austin Forsyth, who is Director of Business Development for Sequoia Resources and does some really cool, innovative stuff with recycling of agricultural waste. And I'll let Austin explain more what that means when he talks. So without further ado, Kent, I will give you the floor. If you want to talk until, I'll let you know when we're getting close to like 10 till 5 till 6 or so, and then you can get out of here and head to the rest of your day. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Actually, I'll speak a little bit, and then we'll open for questions. Or do you have questions, or are we going to follow some of these?
Yeah, but why don't you?
Yes. Okay.
Like I'm gonna like if you start talking in general for about 5-10 minutes, I'm gonna pull up the students' questions and make sure we get to some of the ones that I wanted to get to. So
okay, there's a couple that I wanted to. I think it marked it.
I'm trying to record the video too. So can you actually like
small business
stand a little closer this way?
You know what happened last time I moved? Which way?
Closer to the students. Perfect, right there. Yep.
Up close and personal. Okay. Small business. He said we're a large family farm. A large family farm would be Paramount, but they're still family owned. Paramont's actually counted in the census as a family farm too, because Stewart and Linda Resnick own it. That's a family. One ownership. That's a family farm. I'm a third-generation farmer myself. My grandparents immigrated from Denmark, which is in Northern Europe, in the late 1920s. My mother's an actual immigrant herself, so I'm a child of an immigrant. Small business is what a family farm. That's the business model that they work off of. It works off of. Does anybody have any experience with being from a family type of operation? Is your family part of one, or that type of thing?
Put your hands up
higher. Whether it would be restaurant, or tire shop, or farm itself, or anything like that, or a contractor business or something. If you have a family business, the business model of it is totally different than your basic, where you have shareholders, management, and then the finance groups, okay? Because it's all together. In my sense, I've written up on the chalkboard before. By the way, I completed my MBA here at Cal State Bakersfield in 2014, June of 2014. So I took 30 years off between undergrad and graduate school. I do not recommend that. There were a lot of cobwebs to take care of. Yeah, and in 1981, the personal computer had not yet been invented. Okay, so I didn't have the luxury of having a computer. We were just getting electric typewriters at that point too. So things have certainly changed, and then I had a great experience, and that's why I'm back on campus. Anytime I get asked to come onto the university campus, I appreciate and I enjoy it. Meeting Dr. Stark again, and Kathy Carpenter helped me, and Dr. Woods, it's always good to run into him. Back to the family business model. The shareholders, stakeholders, stockholders are the people that do all the work. Sometimes you have factions of the family that thinks they work harder than the other, even though they're all getting paid the same. That type of thing. In our instance, on my grandmother, as I was mentioning, I put GM, which doesn't stand for general manager, it stands for grandmother. She ran that until the day of her death. She did it. She was very frugal. She grew up during World War I. She was very frugal. It taught me a lot about being responsible, but it also held us back a lot as far as progress. You guys are familiar with let me see if I have it right. Help me here. Innovators, early adopters, and then late arrivals, as far as people taking Dr. Woods? No? Is it innovators and then early adopters and then?
I've always thought early adopters was the first
Yeah.
category, but
Yeah.
I think
So we would be the late arrivals as far as the way she wanted to run it, make sure everything was proven, and not be on the forefront or progressive as something like local outfits would be. What Paramount has done, Kelly, they even relabeled their whole company at this point and go to Wonderful. But that was innovative, even though Paramount is established in the business world, and then everything else that they've done single-handedly developed the pomegranate business, and as far as the level it's at, helped the almonds and the pistachios. They're the largest of each, as a matter of fact. Then what the people like Grimley and Bolthouse have done, as far as being innovative. That's the innovation. And then family operations such as ours. So reduced risk is what it's all about in this case. That's how my grandmother, she didn't run the whole thing, but I joke about it. Reduced risk. If you're the late arriver, you come into the, you don't make the adjustment until everybody else has done it, is proven or true. Yeah, you will reap a benefit, but not as high to a high degree, or not as early. I think you guys will understand that. It's just like when you buy stock. There's basically 3 different levels of stock before. As far as high risk, medium risk, and low risk, that type of thing. Okay. So most family farms chug along and do conservative things, like always grow the crop that will provide something, as opposed to, maybe provide a lot of income. Type of thing. That works for any business there is, and especially small businesses. You can stay in a small business. Say that you're in the printing business and you want to print papers for people. In the 60s and 70s, you did really well, and then Mr. Xerox came along and invented a machine that you and I could buy. How are you going to continue in the printing business? This is prior to copy machines. Most of you don't realize there was a time when there were not copy machines. Okay, so those people that are still in the printing business today, they had to reinvent what they were doing. In any type of small business, you'll have to do that. You'll have to continue to do that. Otherwise, you'll be out of the business. So you reinvent yourself by working on graphics and that type of thing, printing on odd types of material. Let's go back to farming a little bit. One of the questions was concerning the amount of water we use. We're faced with a drought. It's raining today. We can't complain about the rain. Mentioned here, California ag uses 80% of California's water. No. Uses 80% of the available water. 50% runs out into the ocean. Okay. Uses 40%. 10% goes to domestic. What do we do to have we done anything to decrease the amount of water? Not necessarily decrease the amount of water. What we do is more crop per crop. Our efficiency has improved to the extent that just in the almond industry itself, it's 33% in the last 20 years more crop per crop. For that same amount of water, we get 33% more almonds from it. And as California agricultural goes, that probably stands true. Maybe not the high 30%, but 10 to 20% for most commodities. We've just become more efficient with double line drip. But I think Justin's going to talk about the recycling of that. A lot of our drip systems and irrigation systems, they do get recycled. We've worked on, I'm fortunate to be on the Almond Board of California. There are 10 seats on it. It's a federal marketing order. Federal marketing order does global market development and domestic market development production research and nutrition research, and a little bit of advocacy. The Almond Board has recently gone into what we call a reputation management mode, or battle mode, whatever. We do use a lot of water. Agriculture does. The world needs to eat. Agriculture creates jobs. No getting around that. The almond is a very good source of protein, nutrition, whether it's cholesterol or heart disease, anything like that. To justify that, the articles come out. We are exporting a lot. Exportation. The U.S. government does a lot of promoting exportation, and tax-wise, business-wise, and we do every bit of it that we can. So I was talking, I think I jumped around. The efficiency of our irrigation systems has been the main focus of a lot of work done in the last few years. Will continue to be. We have, in some of our almond fields, we have soil moisture probes. They go down 5 foot and they measure every 12 inches. It measures the degree of moisture in that field. And this business it's a web-based business, so I can look on my phone or on my laptop, which is probably what she's looking up right now, on my soil moisture probes, how wet the water is underneath there. And we can gauge our irrigation systems from that. Not overwater, not underwater. More crop per drop. Okay. Obviously, extra water just goes down, it goes away, or it can also actually cause red disease and kill trees. That type of thing. I've been jumping around a lot. I didn't write down an outline.
That's okay.
Dr. Woods, what do you think? Help me out here.
I think you're doing great, but I'll jump in with a couple questions that I think would be interesting to answer. I've been kind of going through the students' questions and highlighting a couple.
Okay.
So first of all, you talked about it a little bit at the very beginning when you're introducing yourself, but I thought Paige actually came up with a nice. Paige, can you wave? She had a nice question, which I think will be dear to your heart to answer. What inspired you to get your MBA in 2014 after 34 years out of going to school? And did you implement any big management changes after receiving your degree?
Very good question. Two-part question. I'd always wanted to get my MBA. Let's go back to it then. So I graduated in 1981, and I had every intention of going on from Stanford, going on to the University of San Francisco. I was going to become a graduate assistant football coach. They were going to help me. They were going to pay my tuition. I was going to become an assistant football coach. They were going to pay my tuition for my MBA. My father's twin brother, his partner, passed away. So it was time for me to come back to the farm. If anybody's involved in a family business, I recommend that you go, even if you have your heart set on going back to the family business. I'd always plan on being in the family business, the small business, whether it's farming or whatever. But I wanted to go away for a few years. It's always good to go away and bring something new in. So, no, I didn't. I came immediately back. I don't ever regret that. It was the right thing to do at that time, in 1981, when Uncle Gunnar, my uncle, had passed away. It was time. Absolutely no issues, resentments, or problems with it. And then once I mentioned, I highly recommend so you bring new thought in. We had our model was my grandparents. My father thought it was unnecessary for me to go away to school. My grandfather, bless his heart, he said, "Why are you going off to school? You're just going to come back and farm." And that hurt my feelings. You can't hold that against him because that's the way he was brought up as far as hard work and bust your butt, and this is what you're going to do the rest of your life. I'm sure you may have parents or grandparents that are somewhat like that. They do. I'm a big advocate of education. So, getting married, then the kids finally go off to get graduated from college himself. Then Dad goes back and gets his MBA. Thank you for asking that question. It took a while. I circled around Cal State Bakersfield several times, made the contacts, and then finally began the program in 2012. So it was a great experience. It really ramped me up. I'll tell it myself. I didn't know you could do a PowerPoint by yourself. I thought you had to have somebody that was really tech savvy to do that for you. Okay? And then after a while, I'm doing PowerPoints for class presentations. And some of the professors here really helped me a lot. Dr. Stark, Dr. Adaran, Dr. Paris. What a great experience it was. Upon graduating from Cal State Bakersfield with my MBA, being very proud of it, yes, I have reorganized how we handle things. So Dad's 80 years old. My grandparents have since passed away, so I'm kind of running the whole thing. My cousin takes care of the mechanics side of it. So the business side is basically on me. The problem is everything has to come through me. I have to touch everything. I had started delegating and then delegating tasks and decision making to other management people now. I've finally done that. We meet every morning at 6:30 prior to work. We go over everything. Well, then they go off to work after the 6:30 meeting. So it works. The organization of that. Dr. Stark taught me a few things such as escalation of commitment. That's when you're on this bad idea and you keep doing it. That type of thing. Attribution error. I gave that employee too many attributes. I put him in the wrong spot. In other words, it's my fault for putting him in that spot for him to fail. I set him up for failure type of thing. The decision maker, the initial decision maker has to be at fault in that case. Quite a few different things. I ended up taking 3 accounting courses and 2 marketing courses. It was a great experience. You get as undergrad biz majors. Are you all majors in biz at this level? So,
Almost everybody, I think. Chase, aren't you econ or something else? Can't remember. Okay. Almost everybody in here is business. We got a few others. And Jing, back in the back, you want to raise your hand? Huh?
She's switching.
You are?
After tonight.
Okay.
After tonight, she.
Well, no, she's currently taking the class through Open University.
Okay. Good.
So anyway, go ahead. Sorry, but
After
almost
tonight-
everybody is majoring in business.
Do you all work with Kathy Carpenter, or is she just a graduate advisor?
I think she's my advisor.
She's your advisor? She tricked me. She lied to me. She told me to get on a 2-year track and get done with MBA in 2 years because they're going to switch the semester system soon. And then it would take me longer. Well, they still haven't switched to the semester system.
Fall.
See, okay, anyway. That was Kathy Carpenter. She's a fellow Arvin High graduate. Where was I? Where were we?
Changes you implemented after the MBA.
Things to implement. Those courses, all of them, just the broad spectrum of having to take them to fulfill requirements was special. Even the MIS course. Now you can imagine a guy that graduated, well, I know how to do a payroll and do a budget and that type of thing. But when we got into Access and everything else in the MIS course, MIS 610, that was overwhelming to me. It was really, really hard. So we accept the challenge. It's good to challenge yourself when you're in your mid-50s. So remember that, okay? Don't quit challenging yourself in your 20s, okay?
Paige, does that answer your question? I'm gonna move things around a bit. Kaya, you actually had written something I didn't know. Your grandparents grow almonds in Modesto. So you were asking what types of almonds do you, Kent, grow? And do you grow better in a drought was the original question. Kaya, can you actually talk briefly about your grandparents' operation? I think it might be useful for Kent for commenting.
Yeah, it's very small, but it's grows for Blue Diamond, so he has about 40 acres of
We grow for Blue Diamond also.
It's like pretty much every restaurant.
Yeah. Very good. That's a cooperative format. You mind if I explain that? So you have your Paramounts of the world, we Grimway's Bolthouse and Boswell type of thing. Big, privately owned companies. But then what about somebody small like myself or what's the name? Okay, but your name.
Kaya is her
Kaya.
first name.
Okay, so her grandparents had this 20 or 40 acres or even 10-acre field. How do you become part of something? You join a cooperative. Familiar with cooperatives. Ocean Spray is a cooperative. Lander Lakes Butter is a cooperative. Sunkist is a cooperative. Every grower that delivers his 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 12 pounds, 20 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, they're all partners in Sunkist Orange. Okay? They're all partners. They're all partners in Ocean Spray juice. Depending on their share that year is how much they delivered to the factory. And then they hire the CEO, Mark Jansen in this case, and then the sales force underneath. The cooperative atmosphere is the heartblood of American agriculture. It really works. Okay, go ahead.
So I was kind of wondering, I know there's a lot of varieties. I don't know all of them, but I was just wondering what types of varieties go and there's certain varieties that go better and less well.
Well, they may have some up in Modesto. We could talk to our friend Mel Machado, who I'm sure your grandparents know. And basically half of every almond orchard, there's pollinators out there. Every other row is probably nonpareil, which is a female, which is a soft shell. In order to get her pollinated, we bring in the bees and we have the male flowers on either side, which is either Fritz, Monterey, Woods Colony. There's one named after you, Woods Colony.
Yeah, cool.
And Butte Padre and that type of thing, Sonora. And depending on which area you're on and your timing and the type of soil, possibly you'll have that. So the biggest, plumpest, prettiest ones are usually nonpareil. Okay, that's and then the smaller ones are what will become what you put in candy bars and cover them up with chocolate, that type of thing. Or the bits and pieces, that's what happens with that. So.
Kaya, does that answer your question? Kent, there's two more that are sort of family business related, broadly stated, and then there's a couple agriculture specific that I wanted to go to, and then maybe we'll wrap it up. So
Sure, yeah.
The Brian, right there, can you raise your hand? Had asked a question, and you mentioned this in class this morning. Grimway Farms began as a small family business. Actually, it's still a family business. And he asked, have you ever modeled any aspects of your business from Grimway? So have you, like Grimway and some of the other family businesses in agriculture around the Central Valley, have you learned anything from some of your family business peers about
Grimway's innovation has taught us in our operation a lot. We've been growing for Grimway for 30 years, since they were tiny, and Bob Grimway driving a brown Ford pickup around. Both he and Rod have since passed away, but they were still remain a family operation. They've got to the point now where they're getting very large and organic also. So we maybe have mimicked them. We have an organic entity also. A lot of the farms in Curry County have an organic entity because of the money that's involved, because it's profitable. We don't need to talk about organic versus conventional. Sometimes Grimway does stuff that I don't quite understand, like in their tomatoes for something. Now Justin may know this. Their tomatoes, when we put an irrigation drip line underneath tomatoes about 10 inches deep. We plant our tomato plants on top of it. Now my family, we leave that irrigation system in for 3 years. Grimway pulls it out every year so you can plant carrots again or something like that. So I don't follow them on that. They need that for the crop rotation. I'll just leave it as a tomato field for 3 years. That's what I do with it. Not risking it. So that drip irrigation tape needs to be recycled. You lose that cost, which is $800 an acre, just for that irrigation system. Am I answering your question at all?
Yeah, I was thinking of
you do?
Yeah, I work in like process improvement analyst, and I was just looking into like processing.
Process improvement now. Yeah. Do you work there on Malaga?
I work in Arvin.
Oh, in Arvin.
Yeah, the organic frozen foods.
Okay, that's a loaded question. Then. So you work for Brandon in Arvin? Is that where Brandon's at? Okay. I live on Malaga Road, on the dirt road, between Bear Mountain and Sycamore. As far as their process, yeah, like I said, I told myself I don't agree with everything that they do. You know, the yellow line sprinkler pipe, I don't think that's the right direction of the future either. But there are a lot of other things they've done and they've done right. They've helped. They've created a solid source of income for a lot of growers like myself that do not have their own processing plant. Both Bolthouse and Grimwood have done that. We can always grow carrots, you know, twice a year, and we can steadily do that.
That answer your question?
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, you say they're a family. They are family owned, but I mean, they're a huge corporation. They're still they have this family side that they want to stay like this family-owned business, but they're becoming so big so quickly. They're becoming like corporate. So do you agree that like should they be family or they should be corporate? Can they mix the two, or and how is?
Depends on which argument you're trying to make. Just like I said, Stuart and Linda Resnick are family. They're the one family that owns Wonderful. Okay, Carrie and Barbara. As far as I know, Carrie Grimm, who is now Carrie Anderson, and Barbara Marshall, former, you know, both the widows of Bob and Ron Grimm. As far as I know, they're the only actual owners at this point, or maybe trusts were set up or something. Those are families. You know, which argument do you want to make? They are responsible. They have some very good management. The Jeffs, plural, even the attorney Jeff. The three Jeffs, and then Robert Huckabee and everybody else. The Brandon, very good outfit to work for. Work with. Like I said, we grow carrots for Grimway. They pay us so much a ton, and they handle it from there.
Brian, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So, kind of related to that question, there's two other ones that are sort of family business related, and then maybe I'll go with one or two agriculture specific ones, and we'll call it a night. They're both about growth, actually, and the issue that Brian was getting at of, you know, it's still owned by a family, but as a company, it's growing to a ginormous size as a culture, as a corporation, even if the ownership is still family. So, Rainier, if you want to raise your hand quick, right next to Brian, had asked, how do you control such a large staff in the farming industry? What's the biggest challenge you've encountered in the company since you've started, like from a management perspective? And then I'm going to also, right behind Rainier is Jing. Can you raise your hand? She had mentioned, has your business stayed about the same size, or did you have to scale up production and operations at some point? If so, when and why did you scale up?
Okay, which one first? Let's go back to
Either one. I mean, they're both about growth. One more about managing staff, and the other about the decision to grow.
like I said, I only have 19 full-time employees. You know, at one time, at some points, we're up to 300 people during harvest, that type of thing. But we only carry that many, which is nothing compared to a Grimway or a Bolthouse. A Bolthouse actually doesn't do any farming anymore. But you watch the growth. Our particular growth was double since in the last 30 years. How's that? And that's all it's done. But we put more value-added crops in, more vines and trees, that type of thing. 30 years ago, it's not necessarily just acreage, it's what you're growing. We were growing just alfalfa and cotton and a few grapes 30 years ago. And you know, budget, which wouldn't really matter because you wouldn't be able to put your arms around it, right, head around it. And so we've gone to higher risk crops that return more. That's what everybody else has done. As far as we're on the Grimway part. Thinking of Grimway, their growth. They had one owner, Rod Grimm, who was really interested. You know how you can't just go out and invent a label that really works. Well, actually, Paramount did wonderful. It's going to work. Remember that fight over the cuties? That was a label that everybody liked and it's going to carry, and it does. But Rod Grimm really wanted the Bunny Love label. That was owned by the Erotic people, and they went out and bought it. And you take those leaps of faith once in a while just to gain that view in the market, that share of the market. It was interesting when we did that. Wasn't necessary actually because competition-wise, Grimway was up here. The label was down here, but they had the vision of wanting to own that label. So let's put it that way. We're getting into the organic side too now. Grimway is huge in organic. We talked about that already. Controlling staff, and you have to rely on, like I said, I have to touch everything, which means basically see everything or follow everything. So no, I don't have to, because that's impossible. I'd never be able to go on vacation or spend my afternoon here at Cal State Bakersfield. Relying on the people that do work for you, and even if it's in your family business or it's in any type of small business. If you have a local store down in the strip mall and you're not there 100% of the time, which you can't be, you have that young person that has their his hand in the cash register or something like that. You've got to have faith and trust on that. Or you also have to, or maybe even better would be having mechanisms to prevent money disappearing or product or anything like that. Can you imagine running a bar and I'm pouring all my buddies double drink, I'm pouring them double shots, and then only charging them for one shot? That goes on all the time, right? Or you hope it doesn't to you. But it's not just quality control, it's just quantity control, right? You have to be on top of stuff like that.
Kent, I'm going to list off several interesting questions here that are about the technical side of the agriculture business you can pick which one or multiple ones you want to address, but I don't know the answers to some of them, so I think it'd be interesting for the rest of the group here about the industry. So first of all, I do know this because you mentioned it this morning. Gracia, can you wave your hand? She had asked, do you grow anything else besides almonds? And you had talked a little bit this morning about the other stuff that you guys grow. I'm going to list off a couple more questions, and you can think about which one you want to address. Chase, back in the back, had asked, what are some of the other major variable costs in agriculture besides water? I think that's an interesting question about the ag business in general. Richard, right here in front, had asked, what percentage of the products grown at your farms end up going to other countries? I have no idea what the export business looks like from here. I think that'd be an interesting question to answer. And I'll list off two more, and you can pick whichever ones you want. Sabrina, back in the back, had asked, working with almonds, is it vital to use pesticides or just more of a convenience? And then finally, Vincent over here had asked, which companies support your farm? So basically, what supermarkets or other sellers are buying your products? I think those would all be interesting for people to hear, and you can choose whichever one you want to answer.
Very good. I'm trying to go backwards and probably to avoid the one about pesticides. Watch. You see how skillful I am at this one. Well, run out of time. Okay, our processing tomatoes go to Del Monte, whether they're organic or conventional. And Del Monte, I sell them to Del Monte, but in that same cannery, they do the Contadina, S&W, and Del Monte cans. So, as far as labeling, and the people at Grimwood will tell you the same thing. So one bag, in the morning run it says Grimway carrots on it, in the afternoon run it says Bonds on it, and the next morning it says Safeway on it. It's the same carrots, okay? Everybody has their degree of quality. And so Del Monte, which is Contadina, S&W, are tomatoes. Costco buys a lot of the organic tomato paste right now, so their customers. Our grape juice concentrate goes to Ocean Spray. Our garlic goes to, I'm identifying some of our crops here, goes to the garlic company and Sequoia Garlic, and they make the processed garlic. It's a very good, that's a value added commodity, right? You can buy garlic, buy the cloves, buy the bulb in the store, green, right? I mean, in the bulb, fresh by the pound. Or you can buy it processed in the jar. Value added. Anytime you add a value to it, you do that. Baby carrots, that's value added. You took a long carrot. I don't want to break your heart. Everybody knows that, right? The baby carrots used to be a long 14-inch carrot. Nobody knew that? Everybody knew that. Yeah.
I knew that.
Some people are going to say, really? And they don't want to admit it. Okay, those carrots were 12 to 14 inches long at one point. So that's where some of our products go. Juice goes to Gallo, and whoever else, whichever other winery wants it. So all of our almonds go to Blue Diamond along with her let me get her name, Kia?
Kaya, close.
Kaya,
Yeah.
that's close. Grandparents in the cooperative atmosphere. Cotton goes, hell, I think 95% of American cotton goes overseas now. I don't think there's a domestic textile mill here. There's very few of them. Most of the cotton goes overseas now. 90% of it. 70% of our almonds go overseas as far as exports. Somebody had that question. Help me with another one. Your question was?
Just other things that you grow.
The other things? Okay.
I think you mentioned a lot of those. Yeah, potatoes.
We
That was
grow
one you haven't mentioned
potatoes.
yet.
Kern County used to, well, still does, has the earliest fresh potatoes in the United States of America. We used to do really well. There would be potato processing plants from Arvin, Bakersfield, Shafter, and Wasco, and then up the valley. In the last 30 years, Idaho, the state of Idaho has really taken over the potato market because they have these storage cellars, cold storages. So they're storing their potatoes 12 months a year. So it's really cut into. Grandma's even backed off in their potato production because of that, the same thing. So now we just grow fresh yellows and reds and whites, and that type of thing.
There were two questions, one of which you're going to skillfully avoid.
Yeah.
The other one was.
Save it for the end.
The other one was, what are some of the other major variable costs in your business besides water? I'd find that interesting to hear too.
Very good. So I could do a budget for you real quick. And let's just say this. To grow an acre of carrots, it's going to cost you $200 an acre to rent it, to rent the ground. Your water cost is going to be $200 to $300 for the water. The seed cost is going to be $400. The fumigation is going to be $300 to $400. Where am I at so far? Have we hit 3,000 yet?
No, I think you're
Well,
at
we're gonna get it up to 3,000
you're at about,
before we're done. So
1,200 right
if
now.
you think about that as far as percentages, your irrigation labor, your irrigation pipe is going to cost you $150 an acre to rent the pipe. The irrigation labor will be $100 per acre. It'll be a $3,000 bill before you're done either way. And then you hopefully you do a good job and Mother Nature cooperates and you're able to call the harvest crew comes by and they don't mess up your field when they're harvesting in the rain and that type of thing. So hope it all works out. But pesticides and fertilizer, you'll also spend on a carrot on pesticides, chemicals such as fungicides. You will spend up to $200 an acre. Fertilizer will be $150 an acre, $200 an acre. It will all add up to $3,000 when you get done.
So our carrots, one of the crops with the lower margin, top margin. So they all kind of
Depending on how you're growing them and which type of. Most of the carrot companies, the Bolthouse, Curry Ridge, or Grimway, has different. You can just grow the carrots for them, and then they take all the risk. And there's very little return, but you make $50 an acre. Okay, I say 50. You net $100 an acre. That's all you net. You don't participate in the extra money. So as far as carrots. What, did you ask what the most volatile one is in Kern County? That's
No,
a
I
good
was just saying,
question.
because you described the cost per carrot, so at 3,000 an acre, so I was wondering if all crops are kind of similar? Or
Yes,
similar?
potatoes and carrots would be the same if you throw in all the costs. Cotton is probably $1,400 an acre. Alfalfa, depending on where you were and what your water costs. Alfalfa takes a lot of water. Processing tomatoes, $3,200 an acre. You have a high seed cost and harvest cost. Let's see. Almonds, you need to get back after you have an established orchard. It's over $3,000 an acre for almonds. Table grapes, I haven't grown a table grape in years. I don't know what the harvest, the labor cost would be. Everybody knows that the minimum wage goes up to $10 on January 1st. You're excited about that? Oh, good. That means you're all making above minimum wage right now, right? Or you plan on it, so you don't have to worry about that. Good. But the other rates should go up accordingly. The one thing, isn't that the idea that the state legislators thought? If you raise minimum wage, the other wages will have to go up. I'm going to sound like an economist here, which was my major in college. But no, because the people quit doing that after a while. After the second raise, they'll say, no, we're not going to do that. There'll be that difference between the top level and the bottom level was getting smaller. Okay? That wasn't the intention. Thought is for it all to go up like that. Right? It's not happening. I'm not going to raise my top paid guys that percentage from minimum wage went from $9 to $10, right? So it's not going to be raised accordingly across the board. Nobody will be doing that.
Kent, it's
pesticides.
Go ahead.
Why do
I'm
we
just going to
use
say
pesticides?
it's slightly
Because
after
they're
6.
convenient?
Huh?
It is after 6.
Just want to let you know.
Justin has that time. Yes, we use pesticides. Integrated pest management. We use them judiciously. I live on the ranch. I spray around my house all the time, but only when necessary. And the chemistry nowadays are much different than they were 20 years ago. The Irish potato. I got to get out of here, Jeremy.
Are you walking strategically towards the door so you can just leave?
No, okay. If the whole world was to go organic, I'm on a soapbox. The whole world was to go organic. What is it? 15% of the population would die within a year and a half because of the lack of nitrogen. There's not enough organic nitrogen to produce the rice and the corn to feed you and the animals. There's not enough nitrogen source. There's not enough cow manure to spread to make everything organic. Okay, we know that. There's not enough chicken manure either. It'll just go away. There's not enough acres to plant legumes which produce that. And the Irish potato famine, when millions of 8 million people, Irishmen died because of phytophthora, which is going to late life. That's what will happen if we don't have proper pesticides. Okay, thank you. I'll get out of here.
Well, before you go, let's give Kent a big round of applause. You're welcome to stay longer. I just wanted to warn you that it was getting close to the time that I told you I'd
What time was I supposed to be gone?
Well, no, there's no supposed to. The parking pass I gave you is for an hour, so technically, if you leave your car there, like one of the parking police might put a ticket on it.
So we're to set this up?
Yeah. Do you want to like go from laptop to screen?
Gotta go to laptop something.
Okay. Yeah. Hang on one second. Let me get mine out of the way. Kent, thanks so much for being here.
Is it freezing in here or just me? It's just me.
Actually, let's leave that plugged in.
Huh? You cold too?
Unplug this.
My name's Austin Forsythe. I apologize that my LinkedIn is as outdated as it is, but let me give you a quick introduction into who I am and how I ended up in California. I studied the Soviet Union, which doesn't exist anymore. Graduated in 1992, just after the Soviet Union had collapsed with a degree in Soviet studies. I proceeded to go to Russia, one of the first American students to live in a Soviet family.
Austin, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Sure.
You don't have this port.
It's possible.
Is there a presentation on here that I can put onto the thumb drive and then pull up on the?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, let's do that instead. Sorry to interrupt you.
So I lived in the Soviet Union for 10 years. Got married, had a couple of kids, came back here in 2000, got divorced, married another Russian woman. You'd think I'd learned something. And
Did you learn something?
I learned a lot. Russians are crazy.
So are you still married to the second Russian?
I am.
Oh.
Which makes me what? Doubly crazy? Let's see here. You want it on the travel drive?
Yeah, just. There we go. Thank you, sir.
So I've got one kid who's a sophomore at University of Michigan. I've got daughter and stepdaughter who are senior in high school. My career path was very carefully planned, from television in Russia to publishing in Russia to getting an MBA here to moving to agriculture. That was a joke. You don't plan that kind of thing. I had my publisher was basically destroyed by the Russian government in 2011. I swam around for a little bit and ended up in recycling. Moved from there to recycling in larger capacity up here in Bakersfield. And then pivoted the company from recycling ag materials to ag services, which is what I do now. 6 months ago.
Do you want me to pull up the presentation or?
Sure.
Okay.
How am I gonna?
I'm trying to record video now too, so if you can stay about here when you're talking.
Okay, you're gonna switch for me?
Yeah, I'll switch the presentation for you.
Okay.
If you want to stand there, I'm pulling it up on the screen right now. Well, it's gonna be in your face, so you may, yeah. If you stand there to one side, you're probably gonna be better off. This is perfect.
Okay.
So just take a second for this to warm up, and we'll be good.
So I'm going to start with an introduction to where this company was in March or April of 2015 this year. It's a small recycling company called Sequoia Resources. And in March of 2014, just before I came on board, they were involved in a nasty situation with it's called CRV recycling, which is the cans and the bottles that you recycle and throw away. Basically, a bunch of people were bringing in aluminum cans from Arizona, brought them here, sold them to us, we bought them, and then it turns out that they were from Arizona, not eligible for CRV. Caused a huge problem. I had nothing to do with it, really. And I was tasked with doing ag plastics at the time.
Do you want me to just point to me when you want me to keep going?
So when I came on board, this is what the company looked like. Ag plastics were 28% of the business. They were looking to grow it. And the opportunities that I had were net margin of $15,000. If you're selling $752,000 and your net margin is $15,000, what should you do? You should quit. You should do something else.
Go into a new business.
Right. You should change of business radically, which is exactly what I did. I came to the conclusion that ag plastics as materials didn't make any sense. I was right for a couple of reasons. One, Chinese economy slowed. China takes most of our scrap materials. Two, the price of oil collapsed from about $150, about $100 a barrel, $40 a barrel, meaning that plastics were no longer as valuable as recyclable commodity. Keep going. Locally, there was too much competition. There are other companies that do the recycling for ag plastics, buy it for materials. When you have a commodity and you don't have a very organized market like most agriculture is, commodities tend to get to a marginal cost, marginal revenue situation. That is, there's no profit involved. It's very hard to profit in a commodity business if it's not an organized market. Moreover, because of the drought, a lot of the material was moving. There's a lot of acreage cut back. I'm sure Ken can confirm this. A lot of acreage is not being planted right now. It was planted 2 or 3 years ago. Cummings Valley, for example, isn't being planted much at all. So my solution was to come up with services in ag plastics. Go for it.
Okay.
I noticed that the customers that I was dealing with, farmers, all complained about a labor problem. I noticed that our competition was always going against us in terms of pricing material out of our market. We couldn't make a profit on material because we had competition trying to buy the material. I also noticed that our company had very expensive overhead in terms of plant here, in terms of trucking things from wherever it was to Bakersfield. So we invented a machine. This machine is called an MB. They call it a mega binder, but I hate that name because I'm not into Transformers. And it winds plastic. Basically, all it does is it takes plastic that's on the ground and it makes it into nice neat bags. Go for it. Especially right now, we do strawberry plastic. I'm a strawberry specialist, and although strawberries are not grown around here, they're grown a lot in Oxnard and Santa Maria. This machine and the processes that we do for them saves between 20 and 50% of the costs that they face in removing this plastic from their ground. In general, they'll spend about $250 strawberry guys will. Between $250 and $300 per acre removing the plastic from their fields, which they have to do in order to get it ready for next year. And instead of throwing it away, which many people do with strawberry plastic, we end up recycling it. So, anyone see a pile like this? Probably see a pile like that. This is a pile of drip tape, and we turn it into a little bale like that. Next. This is a pile of strawberry mulch. We turn it into a nice little bale like this. This is about 800 pounds of mulch. It's about 48 inches wide, 38 inches tall. Go for it. Can you press play?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Oh, play. Yes, hang on.
So that's what the machine does. It takes plastic from the field, winds it up into a bottle. The next thing that we also do, next slide,
Yep.
is extracting the plastic from the ground.
Play?
So, nope.
Okay.
This is actually a squash field, but the idea is the same. You have plastic on a mound or row. The plastic keeps moisture in the ground, so it allows you to use a lot less water in irrigation. You have as much evaporation. Underneath the plastic is drip tape. Drip tape is a kind of hose that when it's under pressure, releases water at a specified rate. It means that you are only watering as much as the ground or the crop that you're using needs. So this tractor assembly, this tractor rig, pulls up the plastic from underneath the ground and takes the drip tape back on the ground. Go for it.
Play?
Yep.
Okay.
So we invented these machines in order to create a service for farmers to reduce the costs that they have to face in getting rid of the plastic from various fields. Most of what we do is in strawberries. We did about 3,000 acres of strawberries in the last 5 months. But we're also doing things for other crops as well. Go ahead. Anyone heard of a SWOT analysis? Okay, well, this is the SWOT for business that I run in ag services. Because Bakersfield is really far from the markets that I'm concentrating on, we have closed the Bakersfield location, and our business is now mobile. We're running between Santa Maria and Oxnard, and hopefully next year up into Watsonville, St. Louis. But I got rid of the location, I got rid of the overhead, and now I don't really care about the scrap value, because what I'm doing is I'm selling a service for about $200 an acre instead of about $300 an acre. I take this plastic away from farmers' fields. Go ahead. I told you earlier that the reason we do this is to save labor cost. It's kind of a paradox, right? Because you try to save labor cost, which means that some people don't have as much work as laborers don't have as much work. However, the laborers hate this work, and so they're pleased to do other things. And that's the theoretical answer. Is it practically that way? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you'll find situations where growers want to keep their labor occupied for one reason or another. And so even though you're saving them money, if you'd like to be saving them money, they don't want to do this. They don't want to employ us because they want to keep their labor busy. I call that the labor paradox, but it shows that being very focused on your product or your service isn't the way to be successful as an entrepreneur. I'll go back to that in a minute.
Go back.
I'll go back to that in a minute.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
These are the tactics we're using in the next year. We have 2 or 3 of those extraction rates that we're looking at. You saw it in the video. We have 4 megabinders, charging at $220 an acre right now. We have a model where we have 1 of our specialists and then 2 or 3 local hires that are basically helping out. And that allows us to have higher paid specialists and lower paid help. Now, instead of bidding against other competitors for materials, the materials are free. They're part of the service. Go for it. In terms of intensive use of plastics, there are 3 areas that you need to know about in what we do. Here in the South Valley, you have table grapes. A lot. Have you ever seen along the 99? You see grape vineyards with plastic on top. That plastic is highly recyclable. We were planning on doing that. We're not actually going to do that this year. So what we're doing is strawberries and Oxnard timber. Go ahead. This is our strategy in terms of when we do what we're doing. And what that tells you is that we're moving around all the time. We have our specialists go with us. We do local hires when we need to. And we're busy pretty much all year long. This is our market size. This is the potential market that we're looking at. It's always going to be a small business, but for Oxnard and Santa Maria, that's about the market size that we're looking at. As you can see, the materials, everything that we were fighting for a year ago, is a very small part of the revenue. Go ahead. These are the results of the first 5 months that we've been doing this business. And we made considerably more margin in 5 months than we had in the previous year. Next. I think that's it. So that's my presentation real quick. One of the things that I said that I'd love to come back to is what an entrepreneur should focus on. And I'd like to offer you 3 or 4 different options. What should an entrepreneur focus on? His business plan, his finances, his product or his service. Which of those 3 should you pick? It's got a show of hands. Business plan. How many people think that the entrepreneur should focus on his business plan? One person. So, B, 1. How many people think he should show on his focus on his financing? Raise your hands high.
What's the third one again before
Service or product? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many people think you should focus on the service or product? 15. Trick question. Don't focus on any of those as an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, you focus on value. That's the only thing that you can focus on. And value is the difference between what it costs you to make something and what someone else would buy. That's it. That's all you got to focus on. When you can maximize value, when you can create value, you can do something cheaper than he could do it himself, or that he's doing it currently.
You need to write more. I think that one actually marks better than the black.
Then you have value. And until then, nothing else matters. Do not fall into an entrepreneur's trap, which is to focus on your product. Classic entrepreneurs fail because they focus on what it is that they are trying to create, business or the service that they're trying to do. If you do that, you fall into what I fell into earlier this year, the labor paradox. I thought, I'm saving you guys lots of money. Of course you should go. And they said, no, we need to keep our labor busy. That's something I thought about, because I was focused not on the value I was creating, but on the product or service I developed. And in closing, I would like to talk about the most important lesson I've learned in business. And I actually started learning it in college. The most important lesson that I've learned is integrity in everything that you do. Anyone know what integrity means? Thanks.
You guys know what integrity is. Come on.
The definition of integrity that I heard when I was roughly your age is the ability to profit handsomely from doing the wrong thing with no chance of getting caught and doing the right thing anyway. It is also the Russian definition of stupid. But it's something that I believe you guys must take to heart. Because it's the only way to succeed in business and succeed as people. Is to always act with integrity. And with that, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to.
Okay. Josh, I've got some that I've kind of cherry picked out of the ones they put together, but I always prefer that you guys articulate the questions rather than me. So, Josh, fire away, man.
Is there a chance in the future that for the businesses that want to keep their laborers busy,
going to sell machines? No. The machines probably could sell them, but that would quickly have to I believe that it would be better in most cases, as far as strawberry is concerned, to be able to flip fields faster using our service than it would be to do things the old way. But farmers are notoriously conservative. They love doing things the same way they've been doing it. Innovation in agriculture happens very quickly and without it. I hope that we're on the verge of doing something very quickly. And I believe that because there are enough companies that are innovative and are eager to save money that they will change them up. I think that the answer to your question is we're going to bring growers to a point where they're using their food for more productive things faster and helping those. So I think the answer to your question is no, I'm not going to sell it, and I'm going to allow farmers to use the other more effectively.
Where did this machine innovation come from? Did you like tell someone you wanted a machine that does this, or did someone come up with this idea?
So I was looking for agricultural plastic. I was on a field in Santa Maria, and I saw.
Also, can I interrupt for 1 second? Because
Absolutely.
I think, like, not to like, I want you to continue with the story, but I think to put it in context, I'm noticing here is like something valuable for the class. Like, this is small business management, this class. I also teach a class in entrepreneurship. I was just talking with the dean about doing a class in the future in family business management. There are 3 overlapping Venn diagram circles, you know? Like, they do similar things, but like running a family business, running a small business, and being an entrepreneur are like this. They're 3 different kinds of activities. Sometimes they intersect, sometimes they don't. And what I think it would be interesting to hear, like, because I know the story a little bit, if you describe Austin, both for the benefit of Paige as well as everyone else, like, it's interesting listening to Kent manage a business which is largely existing and predictable when you took it over versus sort of emergent discovery of value creation as an entrepreneur. So I think describing how you came up with the fact that you should do this because you weren't explain to them what you originally got into this for and how you came to that conclusion. I think it's a good illustration of the process of being a creative entrepreneur.
Let's take 3 steps back. When I started at Full Circle, it was a very small LA-based recycling company. And basically, they took commercial recyclables and collected them, identified them, sold them to processors. The biggest of these processors was called Potential. Doesn't really matter, but Potential mostly dealt in cardboard and mostly sent that cardboard to China. Chinese-owned company. Potential had a model for recycling processors called certified processors that they have in San Fernando Valley, a couple of in LA, and in San Diego, and in San Jose. The model works very well in the urban environment where you can gather a lot of carbon. Then they started up here in Bakersfield. What they didn't realize is that Bakersfield is not LA. And there were significant size differences, both in the population and in the competition, the relative competition level. It meant that their model wasn't going to work. I didn't know that at the time either. But when I got up here, I was tasked with taking this base business and expanding it into ag plastics as well. So the thought process for this whole company was, this is a small side show of ag plastics that we can trust to this guy we sort of know I've worked with him. In my search for ag plastic materials, I noticed this $15,000 net margin. That wasn't even covering all of it. It doesn't make any sense. You can compete all you want against other buyers, but if your margin is so simple, you're never going to get the return. in my search for agricultural plastics, I happened upon a strawberry field in San Maria. Was that the introduction you were looking for?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, if I can reframe it slightly,
Sure.
like Austin originally got into this, both the business that he was working together with and his own expectation, got into this looking to like take possession of recyclable materials and make their money off of like selling those to someone else and making a profit off the markup. And what he recognized was that's a dead end. It's not going to work, basically. The margin is too little. And that is when you came up with, you noticed where there is value to be created as opposed to what you thought you were going to do. And that process of pivoting is what I wanted the students to hear about a little bit.
Yeah. That's a hairy process. It's a hairy process. What I noticed on this field in Santa Maria was a young Mexican wearing a wonderfully inappropriate Abercrombie and Fitch sweatshirt. It was white for some reason in the field. Taking this muddy mulch, pulling it off the ground by hand. She was breaking her back, pulling off this plastic off of strawberry fields. And I thought, this is absolutely one way how not to do something. I'm famous in our company for inventing lots of ways how not to do things. And those machines that you saw are the result of many, many, many inventions how not to do something. Eventually I happened on a dozen. When I saw that young woman doing that, I realized there was an opportunity. Because they had 100 of these people out there, clearing this plastic very, very slowly in a back-breaking, senseless way. So we've got to invent a way to do this better. And so we did. And we changed from looking at the materials as our business to looking at a service that has the materials as a sideshow. It is a complete change of culture for this company. It makes them nervous every time I tell them that. But they like the bottom line. So it works. Any other questions?
Before I picked some more out here that I wanted to go into, but anybody, like, I love it when you guys ask the questions. So Alyssa, Chase, Melina, were you about to raise your hand? Or just like brushing your face?
Yeah.
Okay. So Alyssa and then Chase, please.
I was just wondering, is there any competition for what you do as far as the service goes?
Not yet. But there will be. And I'm hoping none of you guys are involved because they're too slow. More than
I was saying, I'm assuming you probably have patents right now, so it's always be a lot of personal stuff that copies it.
my experience in ag says that patents aren't worth much. So I try to protect our IP in different ways. First of all, I try to be nice. I try to do what I say I'm going to do and communicate well. By doing that, I hope to establish a reputation for being a straight shooter. And because farmers tend to be conservative, and they find a straight shooter who does deliver value and helps them get something done faster, cheaper, better than it had been done before, they'll generally stick. Will there be competition? Absolutely. And then maybe we'll have to innovate somewhere else. But we're going to do everything we can to hold on to this. Patents are not going to be with me.
Long-term customers than just like this that one product.
Right. We're trying to solve a problem. We're trying to generate value for these growers. And we're generating that value by doing something less expensive than they can do themselves. Right? Sure, they can pick it up by hand. They might be able to innovate machines around us. But very few growers have the kinds of problems that we're talking about for 3,000 acres. We're making it economic because we're doing all of the acreage that we can. 2,000, 3,000 acres is a lot of strawberries. And because we can do that kind of volume, it makes more sense for us to have these machines than it does for a grower to have it when he has under 205 acres. Make sense? Chase, you have a question.
Okay. It wasn't the one I had originally been. You kind of said in the beginning that you kind of fell into this a little bit, or this field.
Absolutely.
So I was wondering if there was ever a point where you kind of weren't sure which direction you were going. And
Every single Tuesday.
or just like in adolescence or whatever, maybe you're
In adolescence?
or not, like a point where you kind of had
My kids are adolescents.
I don't know if I'm phrasing it right, but never an uncertain time in life for your career
Absolutely.
and how you dealt with it.
I think your description of how you originally ended up in Russia, your original passion for going there, and how you got into the media business there would be an interesting answer to Chase on that one. For
Sure.
Like-
So, I woke up in 25 years ago, this week. This week, right?
yeah, it's 25 years ago today.
Holy shit.
26 years ago. 26 years ago today, actually. It was 89, wasn't it?
26 years ago tomorrow morning, I woke up with that beer buzz where the world was spinning. The world was spinning, and I was looking at the TV, and the TVs at the time were like that one. And the Germans were whacking on the Berlin Wall. That means nothing to any of you guys. But the Berlin Wall was a wall that divided the city of Berlin in half. On the eastern half, the Soviets kept all the people in. On the western half, we had this little bubble of Germany that was more or less free at McDonald's. When the Germans started whacking on that wall, that meant there was no need for me to be studying the Soviet Union. I had just declared as a Soviet studies major, and that whole idea of going to Washington and studying the Soviet Union for the rest of my life was pretty much going out the window. It didn't make any sense anymore. So I went to my professors, and I said, what do I do? One professor said, stay the course. The commies are lying to us. Gorbachev just wants our money. Go to the CIA, do your thing, reveal something. The second one said, I have no idea what's going on. I can't give you any advice. I don't know. The third one said, I have no idea what's going on. I can't give you any advice. But if you can get yourself into the fourth semester in Russia next semester, I will give you a ticket to Leningrad. So I bluffed my way into third semester Russian because I could say nuclear aircraft carrier and ballistic missile defense. I basically almost failed fourth semester Russian. I took first and second semester Russian over summer school with UCLA. And on August 25th, 1990, I landed in Russia. My host sister the next morning said, hello, my name is Natasha. It's very nice to meet you. I said, hello, my name is Austin. I'm very tasty. Next day, I had to go to school and had to go there alone. And there was an elevator in our building. The elevator was about the size of this trunk. It's a little elevator. And I knew enough Russian to know that if you have something big, an elevator this size, you call it a lift. But if it's small, you add on ito. In Spanish, it's cheap in Russian. Depende. This would be a stakanchik, right? So I figured that this is an elevator. The word for elevator is lift. I said, can I get into the lift chick with you? Right? The woman yelled at me, closed the elevator door, and left. So I got back to my apartment that day, and my host mother said, what did you say to your woman honor? I said, who's your woman honor? Turns out that lift chick means bra. And I had just asked her if I could get her in a bra. So I make mistakes. I made dozens of mistakes making these machines. Dozens of them. But that's the way to learn. I believe for someone as unintelligent as I am, that's the only way I can learn, by making lots of mistakes. I encourage you, go for it. Make those mistakes.
Jason, does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah, I think it's great.
I would agree with that too. I think Austin and I have had similar misadventures internationally as well. I mean, his were in Russia, mine were in Germany and Brazil. But you know, you can either stay inside a relatively small, defined bubble in your life, in your career, and have more predictability about what comes next. Or you can step out of that bubble, and sometimes bad things happen. You make a lot of mistakes, but you learn and you grow, and you discover like what your potential is, I guess, as a human being. So my general comment, like segueing off of Austin, in like uncertainty about like next steps in career and life, like the lesson to be learned here is that there's, honestly, if I had things to do over again, I would probably bring in 10%. I'd probably bring in 10% more predictability and rationality into what I did, rather than being 99% like careless adventurer. I would have been 90% careless adventurer. There's some benefit to predictability, but there's also a lot to be like there's a lot to be gained from just putting one foot in front of the other and learning from your own mistakes and going forward in whatever path you think or you feel in your stomach and your heart is the right path to go on in your career. My only advice for that, if I could talk to my like 20-year-old self, go back and give my own self advice, would be like take an accounting class and like be able to do month-end closing so you can actually make like decent frickin' money, Jeremy, rather than like being completely like without a net, like going and trying to like build a career in Germany with a German history major, like, and no practical employable skills. Like I would have been 10% more practical, but I still would be 90% like adventurous. It's amazing the growth and the opportunities that you come across when you're not afraid to make mistakes. But I would encourage anyone who has the same like fearlessness about making mistakes that I did to at least have 10% like practicality. You're a lot better off than if you go with 99% impractical.
The metaphor that I like to use along those lines is the hammer and the nail. If all you have is a hammer, the only tool you have is a hammer, everything's going to look like a nail. You're going to hit it, it's either going to work or it's not. You got to have a better skill set than just hammers, which is why you need to know accounting. You need to know a little bit of law, wherever you are. And you need to be numerate. You need to understand math. I find it is incredibly frustrating. The number, actually, I get it. If you are not on top of numbers, and you don't know how to count well, you're going to lose a lot of money. Be numerate. Understand where your money is going. Very, very good. I call it cover your assets. Any questions?
I have one in particular that I wanted to make sure we get to before we like call it a night. But I love it. I love you guys being engaged rather than me like being the one that asks questions. So who else has a question you want to ask Austin? Vanessa.
You wouldn't mind, like, maybe helping out other small businesses that are recycling also? Because I know there's one in right now that my friend works for. It's like family owned. Like, you wouldn't want to, like, partner up maybe, since they're so far away, maybe give them your project? Like, you know, get some interest off of it, or, you know, some, like, work with them, like, sign a contract or.
Right. So tell me about this little company. This little
I don't
recycling.
know much about it, but they recycle pretty much everything, and it's only in Delano. They pretty much recycle just around, and So there's like a lot of great code around them. And
Right.
everything
So
like that.
what they do really is gather materials, bale it, and then sell it to somebody else. That's sort of baling it just means making it more dense. And I have nothing to do to help. There's nothing. The only thing I can do is refer people to them, which sometimes I do.
Okay.
And I refer people to whoever's local for whoever's in. The reality is that business sucks. I know that business sucks. And they are working a very, very small margin. It's difficult to make any decent living off of that. I know. I'd be happy to help by referring them to whoever.
Oh, I
Yeah,
was curious.
sure. And a lot of that great plastic is going to sit somewhere for a long time this year because the value of it what is that plastic? That plastic is called low density polyethylene. What does it mean? But polyethylene is a form of gasoline. When oil was worth $100+ a barrel, it was worth more or less twice what it is worth. And the business sucked a year ago, and it's
Other questions for Austin from you guys?
Are you guys interested in making your own businesses? How many of you guys want to have your own business?
I was actually going to segue to that a bit,
I'm sorry.
Austin. No, it's okay. No, I actually raise the hands again, please.
And if you don't mind, tell me some business ideas that you all have.
That is where I was going to segue. So let me
Okay.
list for you the projects that the students are working on right now, and then I know some folks in here may not be. They may have a business idea that they're not actually working on for this class. But let me just run down for you what we're working on in the class this quarter, because they're different projects than we had last spring. So we've got a group in the front here which is working on basically there's a guy I know from back in Indiana that manufactures trailers to basically for recreational purposes. There's a lot of ATV customers that transport their stuff in there for hunting, fishing, so forth. So basically trying to expand that business. We've got 3 students working on different projects for the Downtown Business Association, broadly stated, trying to generate more business for downtown Bakersfield.
Okay.
2 students working with Kinetic Brewing out in Antelope Valley,
Okay.
which is a craft brewery out there. 2 students working on helping to build more customer-based business development for a local beauty salon here. 3 students working on a crowdfunding project, trying to put together a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter for either one of the other projects in this class or another company from our Small Business Development Center here. Brian has a small business that it's called Hope to Others that makes hats and T-shirts and gives part of the proceeds to help with water solutions in Africa. 3 students working on basically a trucking business. 5 students working on business development for Coconut Joe's here in town. A group in the back that is working on like I told you a bit about this. Jing and her dad and her brother have invented a lithium battery-powered scooter. Goes about 20 miles an hour. It's lightweight. It's an actual product to sell for people to get around more easily. Then we got 3 people working on finding new customers for the Condors, the hockey team here, and then Sammy back there in the back. You want to raise your hand? Sammy and John are working on finding more business clients for Sammy's DJ business, which is a relatively successful, albeit somewhat small, local DJ business that does a lot of events for Cal State here. So those are the businesses that we're working on right now.
It's a diverse group of business.
If anybody has a personal business idea that you're not working on but you wanted to mention, feel free to throw some more out there to Austin, and then you can comment a bit on the different types of businesses we got in here. Sure. Anybody, did I miss anything that's an important idea that you want to throw out there for Austin as well?
Tell me if it's a trucking company.
Vanessa. Actually, there's two different ones. Abby's family has a trucking business. Vanessa works for another trucking business. We're actually doing the project for the business Vanessa works for. It's an interesting. They face interesting challenges. Go ahead, Vanessa. Why don't you describe it
asked the
for us?
question about diesel costs.
About what?
Diesel costs?
No, I didn't.
You did.
Yeah.
One of the two questions.
We just had a transport.
Abby actually asked the diesel question, right? Yeah.
Well, I said the tractor. I know there's certain laws to get your own diesel tank. I know if you have a tractor in the field, you can get your own diesel tank. So, can I answer my question?
Right. Fuel is a minor part of my costs. I spend about $700 or $900 a month on diesel fuel. A week on just diesel fuel for 5 or 6 trucks running around and 2 tractors. My trucks are all F-250s, so it's what it is. But tell me about your business. What does your trucking business do?
Mine, we have been first. We actually go to San produce and stuff. So we probably bought some.
So, I would love to see the Uberization of trucking. Trucking right now is extremely fragmented, as you probably know. And it's difficult for a small trucking business to find lucrative routes with stable routes. And generally speaking, once they find one, they stick on it. And that's all they do. That's killer for them, because then they're stuck with that little business and they can't grow it. And they're stuck at that business because they won a bid to do one particular route, but they won it because they were willing to do it for less than anybody else was. Well, that limits your ability to grow it. I'd love to see one of your generation, one of y'all are going to do it, come up with the Uberization of trucking, where people who need trucking services go out and bid it out to whoever's around. And whoever happens to be in the area, close and fast, gets the business. It wouldn't do a lot for profits, but it would disrupt the way the business is running and make it, I believe, much more efficient than it is today.
They
Good
actually
idea.
travel around the nation, so they're pretty big already.
But still, it's a. I agree with Austin. I mean, honestly, like Abby and anybody else in the like your family's business and anybody else in the long distance trucking business. The problem is you want to get the strawberries from like here out to Florida, but then what the hell are you going to do driving back? You got an empty truck. So like it's a wonderful solution, just like Uber. Like there can be a marketplace basically of everybody listing their trucking jobs and all the trucking companies like being on this. You guys all know Uber, right? Or Lyft. It's a great idea. If there were a centralized marketplace where all of the jobs are listed, it's much more efficient to just depending on when depending on when you need a cold storage shipped back out to the West Coast, like you, Abby, and the rest of what is it, Pacific Coast Transportation? Central Coast Transportation. Your company doesn't have to call everybody in the damn nation to find who has a load that needs to go back toward cold storage. It's all in there. Like the trucking Uber knows who has a load. All you do is go in and say, okay, I'm ready. Okay, load's over here in like Coral Gables. Go pick it up, bring it back, and then the same thing in reverse. It's a great idea.
Trucking right now is intermediated with brokers, and disintermediating that means a lot of value can be realized by people who have the assets, which is the trucking.
Austin, I'm going to jump in quick. Yeah, my question, Brian. You're one of the ones that of everybody in here. Like many people are working on someone else's business. Mm-hmm. The actual business owners who are also working on their business in this class are Brian, Sammy, and Jing.
Okay?
Did I miss anybody that's actually working on your business in this class? I don't think so. I think everybody else is working on somebody else's business. The Abby's family owns the business, but we're actually doing the project for the company Vanessa works for. So, Brian, you want to like ask some questions about your particular business, and then I'd say the same thing for any comments that you have about the scooter business and the DJ business.
I actually have a question.
What's that? Yeah, go ahead. No, that's okay. Go ahead.
So obviously you're successful in what you've done, but it doesn't seem like you started out having a passion for this. So at what point did you decide to go away from your passion and do something practical?
My passion is Russia. It really is. And it is a cold, dark, united country that is pretty screwed. And I really wish that I could do more right now. There's nothing I can do. The country is so deep in it right now. My friends are running away from Russia. Most of them. And at some point, you just you gotta walk away. I'm frustrated about it. I wish that would be fixed. But helping Russia right now is good. At least not for me. At least not with my security. You asked a question about Grimway. And I know you work there. I'm not you are. Grimway's a great company. The answer that I would give you about whether or not it's a family business is how far removed is the family member from the revenue? The answer in the Grimway case is very far away. Very far away. You don't see family members in the fields at all. I would not call Grimway a family business. Even if it technically is, it's really not. What I really respect about Grimway is that they are absolutely focused on the bottom line. All the time. They understand their costs very well. They negotiate very precisely, and they count very quickly. That's very effective, if sometimes I'm sure on the inside frustrating the way they compare things. But from an owner's point, they really like that. This is far less. I've done a lot of business.
Ken, thanks a lot. Austin, I want to circle back to at least one more thing before we start to wrap things up.
Sure.
If I can state briefly, and everybody correct me if I'm wrong, like the situation that the three companies in this room that actually the owner is in the room working on their own project, I'd say, long story short, Brian's company makes apparel. There's a charitable side of the outcomes of that business. It's very small. He's been selling directly to friends and family and stuff, and he's looking to get into stores. That's the next step for H2O, is to actually be in retail shelf space. For Jing, they got 3-4 awesome prototypes. I mean, this is a really cool scooter. There's other similar competitors out there. I mean, anytime you come up with a really good idea, usually everybody else has come up with it about the same time. And the question is, how do you like grab the tiger by the tail, and what are the next steps to like start producing more in mass? Like, what's the right strategy to go with to take advantage of this great product that they've made? And then Sammy has a relatively successful business. That how many other employees do you have besides yourself, man? That work for your business?
Regular employees?
Yeah.
I'd say main ones.
So he's got a nice DJ business. He's known around campus and around certain like night spots around town. It's a good DJ. It's a business of a certain size, which is kind of a nice lifestyle business right now. And the question is, what do you want to do with it next? No, I'm not asking you. I'm saying like that's the situation you're in. So of those three situations for the businesses in this room, do you have any comments or advice for each of the three?
I mean, I can try. But my worldview, as I've laid out, really depends on the value. So, Ling, is it? Jing, sorry, Jing. For whom does your scooter have value?
There's kind of like there's like different directions. For customers in China, it's like the traffic congestion in a lot of cities. It makes it so that it's very expensive and a hassle to drive a car. So for them, it would just be using the electric scooter in conjunction with public transportation connected places. Then in Bakersfield, in a place like Bakersfield, there's actually two different markets. One, like including myself, is just students, and it saves me so much time getting from where I parked to the classroom. And I have a very tight, busy schedule this semester, so like I would not be able to get to class on time had I not had this. But then also, I think the market that with the most value added is with people that are maybe like older, they may have health and mobility issues. And for them, the scooter adds mobility, but it's fun, and it's fast, and like it doesn't restrict people to wheelchairs. And so I think those people are the people that are like willing to pay the most.
You stand up on the scooter?
No, sit.
You sit on the scooter.
Do you have it with you today?
I sit great.
That's okay. I didn't think I saw it, but
So,
huh?
I could share the pictures. And
Yeah, no, that's cool. I can show Austin afterwards. I was just curious.
I mean, I know nothing about that business. What I would say is you've got to find methods of distribution, customers, marketplaces where that scooter is going to have value. Forget about the scooter itself. It's not really important. Relative to who needs it, who demands it, who's going to want it the most. You're not in China, that's not enough. The Chinese market is too far away to be much use here. Here, I think it probably the old people are probably a better market than college students because, don't get me wrong, if you're sitting down on it, it's relatively safe. And if you have good battery life on it, that's a substantial advantage over problems that they may or may not have with current scooters. Find someone that has value, who needs this, for whom scooters are
we've driven the scooter just like around Costco. There's people waiting for the electric parts at Costco. Every single one of them told us that they were interested in this. So even
So Costco,
salespeople.
so Costco is your trucker. What are you talking?
All right. Yeah.
Walmart, Costco. Those,
I think Walmart's too like low price, low quality. But I
Not
think
Walmart.
Costco might be a good partner because they sell products that are around $1,000, furniture.
Majid, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was thinking actually to offer this order for a production company where they go from department to other departments. Because the production company like United States or other version, you see them like driving golf. Which cost them like let's say $15,000, $16,000. But the scooter worth $1,000 where they can get like 10 scooters, save the cost of energy space, they can go around those companies, make the opposite departments.
You may be right. I don't know. But here's the questions you ask. Why is it that a company uses golf carts? What value are they getting out of the golf carts? Why do they have those golf carts? And why is your scooter better? If you can answer that question well, and you have a substantial value proposition, then you have a business. And only
Austin, any particular advice for Brian's clothing business and/or the situation Sammy's in about where to go next, growing and so forth with a successful, albeit somewhat small DJ business?
I am so uncool that I don't think I can help a DJ business at all. Who buys your services now?
Who buys? Well, we're contracted to most of the events, a lot of athletic stuff. And outside of that, it's usually just
And so you provide value for who?
just what kind of market you're asking.
Yeah.
I think it varies. I think whoever is willing. I mean, that's a tough question. It's like you can use it in any situation. You know, I mean, we just did a couple weeks ago. I mean, we just did insert thing played in a closet. It was probably the most random thing I've ever done in my life, but it's not good. It worked out.
Plato's Closet?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
apparel store, right?
Yeah. Used apparel store, yeah. So it's just it ranges from
Lots of
anything.
sheets?
What?
Lots of sheets?
Sheets?
No, it's kind of vintage clothing, isn't it?
It's just like used clothing. Like I never thought I'd be in there in my life, but I've been there. So. Okay. But I mean, to answer your question, I'd say for honestly anything.
So any event that needs a DJ, and you guys have a particular kind of music that you play,
It'll vary. You know, what the person wants. So I think hardcore act as like a wedding or something. You know, it varies.
or weddings an option for you?
Are weddings an option? Yeah, I mean anything is a con. I mean I can pretty much do it. I mean honestly, at the end of the day I want to get out of it and make someone else do it because it's not really my scene, but right now I'm providing service. It's a startup. So,
I give you the same advice that I always give, which is find someone who needs what you do. That's the way you're going to make that business work. In terms of your clothing, to the extent that companies care about supporting water development in Africa, or where it is that we support water development, that's who you're providing value to. So those are the customers you have, because that's the hook that you have and somebody else.
Any other questions for Austin that we haven't gotten to yet?
Thank you all for your time.
Let's give Austin a raise as well. So, are you staying?
I gotta go to San Maria.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I will be done shortly, but if you need to go, I had nothing else I needed to go over.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks again. Oh yeah. Sorry, it's right here. No problem. So just quick announcement for everybody else in here. We don't have a lot of class time left at this point. We're not having class on Wednesday because it's Veterans Day, and then our last 2 class sessions are next week. Let me talk big picture terms about like how the rest of the quarter is going to look. So many of you in here have projects that in some way involve word of mouth outreach. So many of those are my contacts. Some of them are your contacts. I am going to go through and like for my own contacts and then suggestions for you. You don't have to take them, but suggestions on what message to send. And we're going this week in order so that we can get responses back from people in time. Wednesday this week is going to be sending messages out to people saying, hey, there's Coconut Joe's this year. You might like it. It's kind of cool. Next week, we sort of gather together whatever responses we got from people. And the ones that were particularly enthusiastic in responding, We want to make sure to ask them a few more questions about, you know, what kind of advertising media do you use, stuff like that. We're going to put a little profile together, and during the last week of classes, so basically between the last week of classes and finals week, you're going to put together an advertising plan proposal. Like, this is what we found by the word of mouth outreach we were able to do in a couple of weeks here in class. Based on what we found, this is what's going to be a good direction to go in. Okay? That's the goal that we want to achieve for all the business. So Mototech, we're going to send messages to people this week. Next week, we're going to find out who responded. The week after that, we're going to summarize who responded and give a report to Chris about how he can reach more people like that in the future.
Somebody else actually emailed me instead of him, so
Yeah, it's an associate of his that works. It's a guy that works with him. DBA, you guys kind of know what you're doing already. Same thing for Kinetic. We're going to send messages out this week. We're going to get responses next week, and we're going to summarize those responses the week after. HEMA, same thing for you guys. The crowdfunding thing, I'm going to have you guys put together a campaign. It'll probably be the Zuda thing. The thing is, we're going to put it together and like just leave it sitting there. Like, we're not going to click go, whether it's for Zuda or somebody else. But that's basically, like, it's not so important what you're going to do this week versus the week after. By the time this quarter is done, your next job is to have lots of materials up in Kickstarter without clicking go. Make sense? That's the end project. Vanessa, you guys got to get as much content on that website as possible. Brian, you guys are sending messages out this week to like my contacts, other contacts about help in getting into retail stores. We'll see who responds. We'll summarize it. Same thing for Coconut Joe's. Outreach, see who responds, summarize. Sammy, same thing for you. Outreach to retail stores, see who responds, summarize. Condors, same thing. Outreach to people who might be interested in the Condors, see who responds, summarize, and give a report about all those customers to, what's her name? What's her name? I can't remember. Alicia, that's it. She's my contact, and I can't remember her name. And Jing, your guys, you're basically putting together as robust a business plan materials as you can. Like, you're putting together materials to show to investors in the future, whether it's on Kickstarter or anywhere else. That's our goal, and finding out as much as we can about how to ramp up manufacturing. Okay? That's what I want to get done between now and finals week. So just wanted to give you guys kind of a heads up. I'm going to reach out to each of the teams to coordinate about the outreach to customers. If there's any other questions I have for you, like Leanne, I'm just waiting for the bullet point list.
I sent it.
I haven't looked at my email like most of that. I've been too busy talking with Kent and Austin. So as long as you sent it, we're cool. That's pretty much what we're looking at. This week, I will reach out to various people and say, okay, here's what I think that we should send for the messages, and we'll go out and send it. If you're doing something else, then I'll just ask for an update. So you sent me what you needed. Vanessa, I need to see an update of the website. Richard just sent me the latest on what he was doing. So I'll get update coordination with everybody over the course of the rest of this week. Next week, we'll have sort of, for most of you, you're going to be seeing who responded to the outreach. And then finals week, you're going to be putting together a little report of stuff. Okay? That's pretty much all I had. If anybody has any questions, come to me. Leanne, I will help quickly to open up. Were you able to open your comments still or not? You have your what problem are you? What problem are you
It's
facing?
just like when you sent the link of your comments or whatever, nothing open. There shows nothing there. I mean, I see. The only thing I can open is like a link to your LinkedIn or whatever.
What comment is what? That's part of the problem. Long story short, like if you had your laptop with you or your Mac, your desktop or laptop, the only comment I had for yours, because you don't really want to show up to the radar screen right now, give you fair workload with everybody else. I want you to put together 10 little project descriptions of coursework divisions. So one class is the project we're doing right now for BBA. Even if it's not a project, it's homework. Phrase the homework in terms of project.
Like what? I forgot last quarter what I did last quarter. I'm like on to the next thing. So what? Like,
So
I mean,
send me
accounting,
a list. Send me a list.
MIS.
Yeah, send me a list of the damn classes in the last few questions.
Okay.
Let's put it that.
Okay. What if I'm going to phrase it into a project? I mean, that's.
Send me a list of all the classes you're taking there. I'll tell you what I want to do. That's all. You have no idea what classes you're taking.
She tells me what to take online. I take them along to the next thing. I don't keep lists.
Routine or remember anything about your degree, or you just do this until you have BA?
I'm doing this so I can apply to law school.
So yeah, like, send me a list of your courses. Get a list of your courses down and send it to me, so I can see what other classes are taking, and I'll tell you, okay, I don't know this about this class. That's the only thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Why are you reading?
No, I just. I don't remember. I don't know.
You're not going to remember to ask me.
No. I mean about like what? Give me an example of that. Like I took accounting. What?
If you can't remember, I mean, it's kind of disturbing that you remember nothing that you took in your classes, because I would ask you, why the hell are you spending wasting money taking classes? But like, if nothing else, again, if you remember nothing about the classes and you don't really care to remember anything about the classes, I'll ask you, the professor, what it was they gave you a homework assignment, and I'll explain to you how to summarize what you learned in the class.
How to word it as a project. Something I don't know what I did. I was trying to, there's like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, if you're taking, I mean, honestly,
going
like,
systematically through a class.
if we're talking about,
I don't
like,
remember, like,
honestly, like my statistics class that I took, my stats class, for example, that I took at the University of Cincinnati, that's about as non-project based as it gets. Like, I studied a bunch of stats concepts, I fill out homework assignments where I like do I run like a PSS program, and then I take a test. So, like, phrasing that in terms of a project is, you know, studied approximately 20 different major statistics concepts, performed a course ending exam, and achieved 85% of it. So just phrase your homework as if it were a project. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So if it's a test, it's an exam. If it's an exam that you did, like, think of the homework as if they were like project. Does that make sense? That's what I want to do.
I do not know what I did in class. I'm just phrasing it as, I mean, you systematically go through it.
Does that make sense now?
Homework. Yeah.
Okay, so do that, and then if you really want to open comments, you can, but that's the only thing I wrote. Like, the problem is Mac has a different way of viewing the comments. One of the other students had a Mac, and I had to like figure out how. There's a way that, like, there's a certain option you click that will then show the comments. The only comment I made was like, so yeah, like summarize the work, the homework that you did in the 10 class. Phrase it as if they were projects. Study this many concepts, achieve this percentage of final exam. Do that. No, I can't remember who it was. I was gonna say somebody else asked me the same question. I think it was Kaya, actually, that had that similar problem. But anyway,
That's exactly.
don't worry about what the document says, because in your case, it's only okay? Is that it? Anything else? Okay, cool. Who's next?
Shooter.
Just a quick question
Yeah.
about development plan. Just go back to the started section of mine. You said to
give you
It
like
could be
10 contacts.
scooter, just spell
I
it.
just want to, because it doesn't fit on my PowerPoint, can I just like email them?
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Like send me a spreadsheet. So with, I said professional like soccer career. What?
Yeah, when I was.
What did I say about LinkedIn?
I was thinking of opening
Oh yeah, yeah.
shoes and it's like you can take
Yeah,
contacts.
so I phrased this to the Umi as well. Like she was a little confused all at once. Basically, I don't know. Like there's a lot of date people they know. All I want to do is go to them and pick 10 people. Like, oh, I don't know that. Make a spreadsheet based on names. It's similar to what you do for the converts, except instead of trying to find people right next to them, you're telling your list of people that you'd like to meet that would give you good advice about opening a business. Give me the list of their names, the like copy and paste the URL on their LinkedIn page, and tell me why you're interested in their send me that spreadsheet, and then I can introduce you to it. Like, obviously, like I probably most of the LinkedIn contacts you're connected to are through me because I'm the one that has the big network. But if there's anybody else that you're interested in talking to that isn't necessarily through me, you can put the list. I just want to see that you have 10 people in mind that you can give you advice. Does that make sense? So you're welcome to just go to my profile, go to look at my contacts, and just let's page through them and cherry pick. Like, oh, that's a cool contact. I wish Jeremy would interview you. Pick 10. Send them. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got 2 questions. First, the Google Docs stuff for the professional development plan. That's not open to just go in and view it anymore. Okay, so I need that sent to
Somebody
me.
complained, so I shut it down.
Okay, so you have a list of people to send it to?
Have you emailed me yet saying I need it?
I haven't.
Okay. No, I do have a list, and I'll add your name to it. Hang on. I'm gonna try and send them later than that tomorrow. Yes.
Okay, so have you given us LinkedIn feedback?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I sent that like,
emails?
no, LinkedIn is also in I sent out an email saying here's a link to the Google Docs folder. Go in and download your PDF.
Oh, so that's in the LinkedIn.
There's 2 different Google Docs folders: LinkedIn and professional development.
Okay, right.
LinkedIn doesn't really have any sensitive information. It's like some people don't like anybody else to know what their monthly expenses are.
Right.
Like to me, I tend to be a transparent dude, so the only reason I push you to tell me what the hell do you spend each month is because when I was in the same position as you in life, I like cavalierly thought, oh, it doesn't matter, you know, I got this. And then like I accumulated huge amounts of debt, and I didn't take the kinds of jobs that I needed to, and I want to help you guys avoid that. So I want to push you a bit. Some people don't like to give me that information, so they didn't want anybody else to see it. So I closed that folder, and I'm going to send each person that doesn't have it already individually.
But
LinkedIn is open.
LinkedIn.
Yep. Does that make sense?
The other question, just really quick, about the project. I sent you the information for Platinum, our collaborative contact.
Didn't you have that problem?
I
with,
had
like,
a problem.
Did you email the help fee?
I don't think it's a tech issue. I think it's just access that's limited to non-premium membership.
No, it's not, man. I gave up my premium membership. I can search all day long, man. I never get that message. It's a weird message. I specifically quit premium because they weren't giving me any value. I stopped paying. I canceled my membership.
I couldn't
And
show
I
more
need
than
you.
4 results.
I need you to go into that help function.
Okay.
Send them a message.
All right.
Like, I sent them a message about some other stuff.
Right.
They got back to me within an hour or so.
Oh, okay.
Like, I need you to describe to them exactly what did you do before you got that message, and where did the message appear?
I was just searching results, and it limited on that page to 4 results, and it says at the bottom you've exhausted the number of searches for non-premium membership.
Explain exactly. Type that.
Right.
You understand? Like,
Yeah,
go to their little. Unfortunately, they don't have a phone number you can call. You have to send them a help email.
Okay.
So explain exactly what happened and ask them why are you getting this.
Right.
'Cause I don't get it.
Okay.
And I'm not
So
saying
I
anything.
to try to bypass it, I went through your contacts as well as I could to see if there were any other ones, but it was a comprehensive list of potential contacts. So I've got a few also in Tehachapi that are not necessarily individuals, more organizations, businesses, whatever. Should I contact those separately face to face?
Do this for me. For the planning for later this week, send me a list. Just tell me like name of company or name of person, how you can contact them, whether it's phone,
it's going to be
text or email, or face to face.
Like I'll walk into the business, see if I can talk to someone who's event coordinator or something like that.
Just send me the list of the businesses.
It's a short list because it's Tehachapi.
That's
How many events can you bust?
2, 5,
Yeah,
10?
less than 5.
Okay, send it to me.
All right.
Basically, if it's face to face, we need. You're going to need to print out something that is like representative of Sammy's business, so you have something to hand out and show it to them.
I'm there on behalf of
Yeah. So just send me that so I can remember.
Okay.
And
and we'll get something together so that I can visit these businesses.
You're going to coordinate that with Sammy, but just
Yeah.
need to have something.
I was just
Something
figuring
to
that would
print
be
out, or
separate
at least to
than-
be able to show people on your phone.
Right.
Like bring them to the right page so you can show, hey,
Right.
this is like this is a cool video from the kind of stuff Sammy does.
Right.
If you're interested, give me your email and I'll send you one.
Okay. Because I figured sending email informational stuff to them wouldn't be as effective as
go
going
in.
and seeing them face to face. All right. Yeah, I'll send you
Send
that.
me the list.
I'll
and I can scan it into our.
I'll see if I can forward you any feedback from LinkedIn about that in case other students have that issue
Yeah,
in the
please.
future.
Like, ask them why you're getting that because I don't get it.
Okay.
And
It
I'm
may
not
have
paid.
to be through CSUB's access as a student accessing it because it was encountered both
It
times here
shouldn't-
through the
honestly,
network.
This shouldn't be a problem. Like I just do that.
Yeah, I'll see
Do
what it
that
is.
and send me the information they give back to you.
Right.
It shouldn't be happening.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
thank
if
you.
I need to get involved, I will. But I need
Right.
you to send an exact description of what's happened and have them explain to you why it's happened. Okay.
All right. Sounds
Cool.
good. Thank you.
Who's next?
Question.
Yes.
Can you add me to a list about the LinkedIn update email? You said you had a list of students that you need to send out the email, the LinkedIn.
Like LinkedIn or professional development
No,
plans?
professional development. I think I'm good with that.
So what about what do you need for LinkedIn?
You said you put some feedback for LinkedIn, and then we have to review it.
Yeah, I
Or
emailed
update
it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. I think it's a professional development. It was one of the two. So can you add me on the list to that?
Yes. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Okay. Email both PvP.
Yeah, because I don't know what I haven't gone.
That's fine. I'll send them with you.
Okay, I appreciate it. And also, is it too late to send reply to that email? Because I never got that one either about the guest speakers. You mentioned it in class about it being worth every question we send to the speaker. Is it too late to reply back? Because I just had Spencer forward it to me today.
Yes, it's too late, but it's too late. But if it makes a difference in your grade, I'll give you something else extra credit.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can do the extra credit. What you said, the follow up of the thank yous. I can do that.
No, do that.
Okay.
Did you get that email?
Yeah, I got that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
But okay. So, do you think that'll make a huge impact on my grade?
I think it'll be fine. But if it does make a difference, I'll give you something to do.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Like,
Thanks.
the speakers have already spoken, so it makes no sense to
Yeah.
send the questions now.
Yeah.
But if it makes a difference, I'll give you something to do so that you had to do the same amount of work as everybody else to get the same grade. But I'll get back to you if it makes a difference. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, I have
Sabrina.
a few things.
Yes.
One thing on one of the guest speakers, I think I have a question battery, so I don't know if I got credit for it or not. But like when I went back to look at it, when the first speaker, it just said what on it, so I don't know if the question what, or like my question battery.
I think I remember that. The word "what's" there. I'll give you credit for it.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, whatever. Okay, and then can you also send me the professional development thing too?
Yes.
And then I have a question about the project. I don't know what a pro forma financial is. and my group wants me to do it. So I was wondering if you could direct me because I found
Oh, that's fine.
somewhat there, but I don't know.
So, pro forma financial that just means like a prediction about the future. So pro forma means this is what the revenues and the costs are going to be in the future. So if you go here to lecture materials, scroll down.
I guess for me, when I did a lot of like editing for people, and I was like, you know, if it's not,
Yeah,
if it has
so
like a typo,
financial statements example there. See that?
Yes. But I opened
You're gonna
it.
fill out this. You're gonna fill that out for Zuger instead of for this like bakery company.
So like all those, there's a different,
definitely
whatever it's called.
Like on par with what like Kirby has, or yeah, it needs to be
different tabs in the Excel
Mhm.
sheet.
I don't go on Facebook anymore because
Yeah. So basically, this is a big long list of all of the sales that Sucre was predicting to have.
oh yeah.
So in your case, you're gonna make a prediction about okay, in the first year,
stuff like that.
like in the first year,
And
you know, we're gonna have like 3 scooters that we sell each month, and they're each, you know, sold for $9.99 a piece. Okay, you're gonna make a big long list of all of the scooter sales that are predicted, and then you scroll up, and scroll down.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll get the stuff we need.
Then you're gonna have costs here. So, you know, we're gonna have the actual cost to produce the scooter. We're gonna have to pay the manufacturing company something. Like, it's not gonna be perfect, but you need to just guess all the things that you can think of that they might have to pay for. Put them in a big long list here, okay?
So it's not gonna be very big though.
Huh?
Like ours is like gonna be very big. 'Cause she only gave me like 3 numbers.
But like just in terms of like getting the colors.
So I don't know how to
Well,
say.
Font type in it.
She like told me like how much the battery is and then how much like the other cost is, and then she said just say we're gonna sell X amount of for 600 and then X amount for 700 and then X amount for 900. So I think I just don't have enough information.
Okay. And
Um,
you've taken
well,
MIS.
look at this list.
I don't know what MIS 300 is.
Sooner or later, they're gonna have to do marketing. Otherwise, nobody's gonna know about the damn scooter.
So it's like future like a couple years or like
I don't know specifically like.
No, it's years. This is next year, and you're gonna make predictions for 5 years out of the future. Makes sense? So anything you see on here, like marketing, what else we got? Baking supplies. So they don't have baking supplies, but they got aluminum and batteries and all the stuff that goes into making the scooter. They're probably gonna, at some point, they're gonna have some kind of like marketing and advertising costs. So in the case of Sucre, they were making brochures. In this case, the case of the scooter company, it might be more paying for Google AdWords, but you're gonna have some kind of expense for advertising. Like, maybe not like in January of next year, but at some point they're gonna do advertising and marketing. There's gonna be a cost for that. And they're gonna have like to have like the monthly cost of the web hosting for the website eventually. Like, there's gonna be various IT costs. You probably have annual subscriptions to a couple of like softwares like Microsoft Office and stuff that like, you have to renew the subscription every couple of years, so it's a couple $100 here and there. Like, just think of every possible thing that they could have to perhaps spend money on. Okay? And then again, all of the realistic sales that, okay, we think it's realistic to sell 3 per month in the first year, and then 10 per month in the second year. Put those in the revenue section. And the rest of the pages they build on the first one. So the most important thing is that you fill out the first one with every cost you can think of and realistic revenue numbers. Okay? And then send that to me. I'll tell you what it is. I mean, put it up on the shared drive, and tell me that it's there, and I'll tell you what else you have to do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
What else?
I think that was it.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Who's next? Sylvania, you've been waiting diligently for a while. What's?
But I hadn't promised going through your contacts on LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
And it's not letting me do.
Hang on one second. Let me send PDP to Sabrina. And then okay, so do me a favor. Log in. I'm curious to see what happens. So let me exit out of here. Log into your LinkedIn account here. Okay, I want to see exactly what happens, and maybe I can help fix the problem.
See if I remember my password.